On Christmas Eve, 1971, the sky over Peru split open. A passenger plane vanished into a violent storm, and from 10,000 feet above the Amazon jungle, a teenage girl was thrown into the void. Everyone assumed she died instantly, but they were wrong. What happened next became one of the greatest real survival stories ever told. Julianne Kopka never imagined that morning would be the last time she'd see normal life. At 17, she boarded LANSA Flight 508 with her mother, headed home for the holidays. Passengers chatted, laughed, and settled into their seats as the plane lifted off. No one knew that ahead of them, the sky was waiting with unimaginable fury. As the aircraft approached the mountains, the blue sky turned charcoal gray. Lightning flashed like camera shutters in a dark room. The plane shuddered violently. Luggage crashed from the overhead bins. People screamed, prayed, held each other. Julianne gripped her mother's hand as the cabin lights flickered, then died. They were flying straight into the heart of a superstorm. A deafening blast tore through the fuselage. A lightning bolt struck the wing fuel tank, and in a heartbeat, the aircraft began to disintegrate. Floor panels ripped away. Rows of seats peeled out of the plane like pages torn from a book. And then, all at once, Julianne felt herself being sucked into open air. Imagine falling from a skyscraper twice as tall as the Burj Khalifa, with nothing but a school dress and a seatbelt. Julianne plummeted through clouds so thick she couldn't see her own hands. Her three-seat bench spun violently, the wind screaming in her ears. Then, darkness. The world vanished as the jungle reached up to swallow her. When Julianne opened her eyes, the storm was gone. She lay on the forest floor, staring at a sky that had betrayed her. Her collarbone was broken, one eye was swollen shut, her arms were sliced open, and something was crawling inside her wounds. She tried calling for her mother. Only the jungle answered, a low, endless hum of insects. She was alone, 17 years old, and the sole survivor of a plane that had vanished. Pain followed her with every movement, but staying still meant death. Julianne pushed herself up and stumbled through the wreckage. Here and there, pieces of the plane flashed like silver bones in the mud. She found a small bag of candy, the only food she would have for days. She knew that panicking would kill her faster than the jungle. Her father had once told her, "Find water, follow it. Water always leads to people." She clung to that memory like a lifeline. She discovered a narrow stream trickling through the undergrowth. The water was cold, alive, and merciful. She crouched and drank, letting the coolness wash away her fear. Then she began to walk, or rather, crawl, following the stream deeper into the unknown. With every step, she waded into danger. Venomous snakes camouflaged on tree trunks, poisonous frogs hiding under leaves, and insects that swarmed her open wounds. Still, she moved forward. Days passed. Julianne's sandals were long gone, torn away by the crash. Her bare feet were shredded by stones and hidden thorns. Her skin was sunburned and mosquito-bitten, and the candies she'd rationed were gone. Hunger gnawed at her, but drinking from the river kept her alive. Sometimes she found pieces of wreckage, a seat cushion, a torn dress, and once an entire row of passengers still strapped in their seats. Every discovery cut deeper than her injuries. By the 10th day, her wounds had become infested with maggots, painfully wriggling reminders that time was running out. But fate offered one more chance. She found a small wooden hut beside the river, the first sign of humans since the fall. Inside was a half-empty can of gasoline. She remembered watching her father treat wounds on animals. With trembling hands, she poured gasoline on her cuts.
The pain was blinding, but the maggots floated out. For the first time, she believed she might actually survive. Exhausted, she curled up inside the hut, unsure if she'd awake again. The next morning, voices echoed outside, men speaking Spanish. Local woodcutters had returned to their shelter. When they entered, they froze. A ghost-like girl stood before them, thin, bleeding, barely able to speak. Julianne whispered, "I'm from the plane, the one that crashed." The men stared in disbelief. Everyone knew there were no survivors. But there she was, living proof of a miracle. They carried her to their boat and paddled through the winding river for hours. When they finally reached a settlement, word spread like wildfire. A girl has survived the impossible. A rescue plane took her to the nearest hospital, where doctors and journalists crowded around her in awe. Julianne Kopka had fallen from the sky and lived. Out of 86 passengers, she was the only one who walked away. Her story became a symbol of the human spirit's unbreakable will. Not because she was superhuman, but because she refused to give up. The jungle tested her body, loneliness tested her mind, but hope kept her alive. Today, her survival remains one of the most astonishing real events in aviation history, a reminder that even in the darkest places on Earth, against the loudest storms and the cruelest odds, the human heart can rise higher than the sky that tried to bring it down.